This is hands down the most crazy place I've ever set up my tripod in my life. About 6 months ago, I found out about a place just on the outskirts of the Peak District, and this place was called Lumsdale Falls. Now, the name was enough to entice me originally, but when I found out that this place had waterfalls which were cascading into streams, and it was steeped in history, I pretty much knew I had to come here. Now, I've had to put this trip off over the last 2 or 3 months because of work commitments and other things going on in my life, but now, because I have a very understanding wife and my work commitments are not due today, I can come out here and explore. So some people might say I'm crazy because I've actually picked one of the busiest days probably in this place's history. I was told that it was really tucked out of the way and not many people knew about it, but I did forget that it was the school holidays, so that's probably where you can hear shouting kids and lots of people. Must bear that in mind next time.
Break like a twig right under your feet. Don't you say that you didn't want me. You turned me upside down and then you're in my bed and under my skin. But where will it end if I let it begin? So bittersweet, you know life's too short, so let's not waste another minute.
So this seems to be a beautiful little area here. I've come up to the second part of the waterfall and I should be able to shimmy down the rocks here to get a great composition of the waterfall. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get down there so I can set up my tripod, my gear, and then get a lovely composition going right up the waterfall. Very dangerous with no climbing footwear. This is actually a really cool spot, and it's even more cool than I first thought when I arrived here, because if you look at the rocks here, you can see that there's some what look like caves. Now, I'd like to go and explore them, but at the moment I think it might be a little bit treacherous trying to get across this. So I've decided that they look good enough just to see rather than actually visit, so I'm going to stay here and just look at them. But if you look at the waterfall, I've got a great composition here. It's going right up the waterfall there, as you can see, and I get to put my tripod smack in the middle, so I'm going to position it about here. Okay, so everything's set up. I've got my camera, which I'm actually shooting vertically for this composition, and the reason I'm shooting it vertically is because I can get the whole waterfall in from bottom to top. When I tried it horizontal, I was just cropping off the top of the waterfall and I didn't feel like it maximised the composition of the photo. So I've decided that I'm going to shoot, in fact let me show you. See my composition there. Now I've got a little bit more of the foreground than I would want in focus, but I'm actually going to be putting this on Instagram, and I'm going to be cropping it slightly for one of my website prints. So that's not going to be bothering me too much, because I'm actually going to bring it up to about here. Now as you can see, I'm shooting this in A/B mode, it's aperture priority, and I'm going to be focusing here, so let's just do this. A third into the image. Now this is a way to make sure that you get your images sharp from front to back. So I'm shooting this with f11. That's going to be one of the best sharp apertures for my lens. And also I'm shooting with a 24mm wide angle lens, and that gives me the perfect kind of coverage with my lens to take this picture with. Okay, so let's talk filters. I'm using two. I'm using an ND8, which is a Hoyer filter, and this is an ND filter which is going to darken down the image. I'm also using a polarizer, and that's to get rid of the reflections in the water. Now, it's cool to be using square filters these days, but as you can see, I'm obviously not that cool because I'm using round filters, and for me they work just as well, so I use them instead. Now I'm not using an ND graduated filter here, as you can see, because I'm not shooting the sky in this composition, so I don't need it, but I might be doing that in some of the pictures when I carry on up the waterfall. This is hands down the most crazy place I've ever set up my tripod. So from this position, it's nearly impossible to show you actually what I've got set up on my viewfinder, because I can't even crouch down, but the composition here for this shot was amazing, so I just had to get it set up here, and well, you'll see in a minute, it's brilliant. Well, that was a thrill. Yeah, there was many times I nearly fell in the water there, but it was so worth it because I got the most amazing shot. Really happy with that, really happy. I've now arrived at the last waterfall of this trip to Lumsdale Falls, and it's this one right here. For this shot, I'm going to be shooting horizontal because it leads to a horizontal composition a lot more than it does vertical. My settings are f11, ISO 100 to keep it as good as possible, and I've got it on A/B mode and my exposure's at 8. And that's going to give me a little bit of detail in the water because I think it works in this photo rather than blurring it out completely.